Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. Alright, now listen, first of all, I'm extremely jealous of everybody that got to go to FanFest. If you're at FanFest and you're probably not watching this video, you're probably watching practice. Right about now it is 6:34, so that's about 30 minutes into practice. I know they had Eli making some kind of speech at the beginning, so maybe you're about 15 minutes into practice, but it looks like it was a great turnout. I saw some people were running some laps in honor of Joe Judge. I saw some people taking pictures. A lot of content creators got together. I saw a couple of subscribers meet up with some content creators, so it looks like you guys are having a great time. And the two guys that got tickets from me, hope you all are having a great time. I think you're sitting right next to each other, actually, so you'll see each other. But FanFest is going on. I'm not there. So I'm going to make this video about this depth chart, because what else am I going to make a video about? Practice doesn't end until 8, and that's when I'll look back at how today's practice went and look into, you know, if I want to make a video about it or if anything was eventful. But something's telling me that the scrimmage that they're probably going to have is going to be the most eventful thing that's happened so far this offseason. But this depth chart came out, and I don't know if it's just me, but it's extremely difficult for me to read some of these depth charts, because they got guys listed at certain things, and you can't really tell who comes up first on which position, because they say, like, for instance, wide receiver. Of course, your starting outside two receivers are Kenny Golladay and Sterling Shepard, and then they say second, you got Darius Slayton and John Ross. And then on the site and the notes down below that depth chart, they have Kadarius Toney is listed at wide receiver 3, but he's really wide receiver 3 for one of the wide receiver positions. So it's kind of confusing. If you would ask me, I mean, I would say that Kadarius Toney right now is ranked at wide receiver 5. And I guess I'll kind of start it off with where he's ranked, because I know everybody wants to know where the rookies rank. How are the rookies looking? Kadarius Toney is ranked as wide receiver 5. I'm saying this because there are two guys in front of him on that wide receiver list, and then there are two guys in front of David Sills on the wide receiver list for the other wide receiver spot. So that means that we all know he's not ranked after David Sills, so he's got to be ranked right now as wide receiver 5 on a depth chart. Now, do I think this will stay like this? That's very possible, because John Ross was looking great in training camp before he pulled up on that hamstring. Darius Slayton, his spot is pretty much solidified. He's been making plays here and there. And Sterling Shepard and Kenny Golladay are in 1 and 2. I mean, that's not going to change unless Darius Slayton or Kadarius Toney or John Ross turn into a completely, well, not as much Kadarius Toney because he hasn't played, but unless somebody makes a huge Odell Beckham type leap, or, you know, huge wide receiver kind of leap, those two are going to stay as your top 2 receivers, meaning that if there's 2 wide receivers on the field, more often than not, it'll be Kenny Golladay and Sterling Shepard, your big-bodied guy and your shifty route runner who can play outside and inside. Sterling Shepard and Golladay are going to be out there more often than not. John Ross, he can play the slot, he can play outside. I think they'll probably use him as a slot sometimes, maybe if, you know, you have Shepard out there and, you know, maybe he slides outside. If you have Slayton out there, John Ross probably slides inside. Other than that, Kadarius Toney, I see probably, he probably is going to play everywhere. I'm not going to be surprised if he lines up outside, inside, backfield. He's been already doing that. There's been a lot of motioning going on with Kadarius Toney. And I think him being ranked wide receiver 5 is much ado about nothing, because I think right after your top 2 receivers, 3, 4, and 5 are going to be rotating. And I just think that spot is going to be so fluid at wide receiver 3, because we have so many guys that can play inside and out. Darius Slayton, believe it or not, won a ton on the inside. So we have guys that can literally play anywhere. Kenny Golladay is probably the only guy you say he's not necessarily a slot guy. But when you have somebody that's that big in the slot, they can use their body to shield off guys. Think of a Philly Jason Avant kind of player. Kenny Galladay can play anywhere as well. But moving on to something else, the offensive line is exactly what we thought it would be. Right tackle, you got Matt Peart. Right guard, you got Will Hernandez. Center is Nick Gates. Lemieux is at left guard, and Andrew Thomas is at left tackle. Your backups, first man up at left tackle is Nate Solder. First man up at right tackle is Nate Solder, of course. Chad Slade is actually the first man up at right guard, which is interesting because Chad Slade is kind of a tackle. Jonathan Harrison is your first man up at center, followed by Brett Heggie, so he's your third string center. Kenny Wiggins is your backup left guard. I thought he would be your backup right guard, but no one has stepped up to fill that position after Zach Fulton left. And then, of course, Jackson Barton is your third string left tackle, and he's your third string right guard. Cal Murphy is your third string left guard. So we don't have we don't have much depth on the offensive line, but it's pretty much no surprises here as far as where they're ranked on the depth chart. No surprises. At tight end, they list 2 tight ends, so I guess their base is 2 tight ends. So they list 2 tight ends. One is Evan Ingram, the other is Caden Smith. And of course, just the same way the wide receivers are, the backup to Caden Smith is Nakia Griffin-Stewart. Kyle Rudolph is ranked 4th on this list, but at the same time, Kyle Rudolph is on the PUP list pretty much. He's not playing anything. When he gets out there, I'm very sure that he'll be the second tight end to Evan Ingram. With Evan Ingram, he's got Cole Hicatini, who caught a nice out route from Daniel Jones yesterday, and Rising John, the guy who converted from wide receiver to tight end. I think he came from the CFL. The guy's like 6'5", 6'6", or something like that. And big target. He came into the Giants at around 220, 230 pounds. The video I saw of him yesterday, he looks like he put on a lot of weight. He looks like he could be at around 240, 250 at this point. So Rising John, look out for him in the preseason. Maybe he's making plays at FanFest right now. I have no idea. Let's look at running back. No surprise here. Since Saquon is off the PUP list, he's running back 1. Devontae Booker is number 2. Corey Clement is number 3. And then after that, you have a cluster of guys. Alfred Morris, Gary Brightwell, Sandro Platzgummer, the guy that came over from Germany. And this is something to kind of debate about, but it doesn't surprise me because Corey Clement has had the best camp out of any running back. Everything that I've heard, Corey Clement has looked like the best running back, not named Saquon Barkley because he's been injured, but Corey Clement has had a better camp than Devontae Booker. That's what I'm hearing. And for him to be the running back 3, it looks like at this point it's a lock. Unless they end up keeping 4 guys, I see them keeping Alfred Morris. And I see Gary Brightwell, unless he does something crazy in the preseason, I see him being a practice squad candidate. He is someone that loves to play special teams, so we'll see how this goes. But Corey Clement has been, he can catch the ball. He's been running well, and he just provides a different kind of running style than Devontae Booker, which is why you probably will want him here. Alfred Morris is kind of like a slower version of Devontae Booker because they're both that north-south kind of runner, that no nonsense, no wasted motion. Corey Clement gives you a little bit more shift and definitely a lot more in the pass game than Alfred Morris does. So that's probably why I see him ranked over top of him. No surprises here at quarterback and at fullback. Fullback, you got Elijah McKinney. Elijah Penny ranked over Cullen Gillespie. People thought that Cullen was going to take Elijah Penny's job, but it looks like Cullen might not make the roster. I really would be kind of irked if we decided to keep 2 fullbacks because we have so much talent on this team. But I just really can't see them keeping 2 fullbacks. In 2021, I don't see them keeping 2 fullbacks. And it looks like Eli Penny is the guy. He's a guy that can catch more. Cullen is more of your blocking kind of fullback. But Elijah he's been getting better at blocking. So we'll see how that competition works out. But unofficially, right now, Elijah Penny is your starting fullback. And Daniel Jones, of course, is your starting quarterback. Mike Glennon at 2. Clayton Thorson at 3. Not much to talk about there. Besides the fact that Mike Glennon has apparently, according to reports, had a subpar training camp so far. So hopefully he can turn that around in the preseason. Your two outside starting linebackers. This is something interesting. O'Shane Zimenez on one side, Lorenzo Carter on the other side. Why is this like this? Because they're both veterans, and that's pretty much it. They're both veterans. They're not going to start Ojulari officially over those two simply because he's a rookie. He's got to earn his spot. That's the whole Joe Judge, Parcells, Coughlin, Belichick tree. That they never give rookies anything. They have to earn it. I fully expect Ojulari to be the starter day one or get significant reps. So this starting lineup means pretty much nothing. Trent Harris is the backup to Lorenzo Carter. Azeez Ojulari is the backup to Zimenez. Behind him is Nico Lalos at outside linebacker. And then behind Trent Harris is Afadi Odenigbo. And then behind Odenigbo is Cam Brown. And behind Nico Lalos, again on the other side, is Ellerson Smith. So Ellerson Smith hasn't practiced yet, so it's kind of difficult to judge anything. At your linebackers, middle linebacker, Blake Martinez is your guy. Reggie Ragland is behind him. Carter Coughlin is behind him. And then you got your will, which is your guy lined up beside that middle linebacker, your guy who's more of your coverage guy. Tay Crowder, Devontae Downs, TJ Brunson, and then Ryan Anderson is actually ranked there. So I guess they see him as a middle guy. Again, this is unofficial, so we'll see how that plays out on the actual field. But Tay Crowder and Blake Martinez is what I expected, and then followed up by Reggie Ragland, spelling either one of them, depending on who comes out of the game. Cornerbacks, this is pretty much what I expected as well. Of course, you got Adoree, and you got James Bradbury. Darnay Holmes is your guy next up. Isaac Yadam is still there. So basically everything we had last year with the addition of Adoree Jackson, it looks like they're still doing the kind of, let the rookies earn it thing. Rodarius Williams is ranked as our 5th cornerback. Sam Bill is all the way at the bottom of the depth chart, and so is Aaron Robinson because they simply haven't played. I expect Aaron Robinson and Rodarius Williams to shoot up the depth chart and be above Madre Harper and Isaac Yadam. So corner, not a big surprise, but those guys will probably end up shifting around once everybody gets healthy. Logan Ryan is your starting free safety. Jabril Peppers is your starting strong safety. Julian Love is your backup strong safety. And Xavier McKinney is your backup free safety. So Xavier McKinney, he pretty much plays every position on the field. I watched him line up at edge rusher last year. I think he's probably a better center fielder than most other players on this team. We'll see how he plays, but I think he's a really good center fielder, and he's also a really good box safety. So again, these positions are fluid. They'll both move around. They'll both move around a lot. So I'm not really surprised by this. Casey Crater is your long snapper. Dixon's your punter. And then here's where your second kind of round of surprises pop up. Jabril Peppers is your primary punt returner, followed by Adoree Jackson, followed by Kadarius Toney, followed by Dante Pettis. So I think Pettis had a couple of nice returns for us last year, but he's your 4th string punt returner, your 4th string kick returner. Kadarius Toney is your 3rd string and 3rd string at punt return and kick return too. Again, subject to change. This is all unofficial. John Ross is your kickoff returner. I hope he keeps that spot because he's just so fast, and I think he'll be able to provide a lot of excitement there and be able to actually flip some field position with that 4.22 speed. Jabril Peppers is still your punt returner. The dude did a great job last year on punt returns. The only person I think could possibly take this spot is Kadarius Toney. Jabril Peppers takes pride in playing special teams and returning punts, so it's going to be hard to kind of move him off that spot. But I think they have to try to figure out a way to get the ball in Kadarius' hands as much as possible. Other than that, you got Graham Gano at kicker. His backup is Ryan Santoso. And not much huge surprises here. I would say one thing is that Kadarius Toney is kind of buried down on the punt return, kick return part of things. other than that, not much surprises. So that is the Giants depth chart. Unofficial, of course. Ojulari is your backup. I expect him to be a starter. Tony, I expect him to stay at the 4th or 5th wide receiver until at least halfway through the season or an injury would happen. That doesn't mean he's not going to be used, but that's just he's behind some quality guys. And other than that, I think we're good to go. I think this depth chart is pretty similar to how it will look day one. But you guys let me know if you think someone is buried too far, if you think someone's starting that has no business starting. I would say my biggest guy is O'Shane Zimenez. But again, I think he'll probably slide back down the depth chart once Ojulari wins that job. So you guys let me know what you think. If you made it this deep into the video, come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.